Okay, what I thought I'd do today is go over some of the kit that I take out on the ground with me. Quite a few people do ask me questions as to what I use, why I use it. So I thought, I'll go through the basics of what I take out and, explain to you why I've chosen each individual bit of the kit that I've got. And by all means fire and ask any questions that you want. I use the same gear no matter whether I'm going on a little trip that I can park at the side of the road and jump out and do a shoot, or whether I'm hiking up to a big hill, a good 8-9 miles trek. It doesn't really matter, I only take the same kit. The same goes for my tripod, which is obviously underneath the camera at the moment. I use the Manfrotto 190. It's quite heavy, it's quite sturdy, but the sturdiness is the reason why I take it. It can withstand gusts of wind, and it's not vibrating, or very, very little chance of it being blown over. So I kind of stick with that. I don't mind carrying the extra weight because I know I've got that good base to work with when I'm out on the ground. So what we'll do is we'll start at the top and take it from there. Camera wise, a few years ago I upgraded to full frame from a crop sensor Canon. I went for the Canon 6D. Yes, it's like an entry level full frame camera, but it's got quite a good high resolution, 20 megapixels, brilliant in low light. So like when I'm shooting after dusk, the noise levels are very, very good in low light photography situations. I can happily ramp the ISO up without really batting that too much of an eyelid, really. It is a really, really good body to use. Quite reasonably priced for what it is, for a full frame camera. And I've always had Canon. I've had Canon since my younger years of doing film with a Canon EOS 1. And I've always stuck with it. It feels good in my hands. It's reliable. The lens choice for a Canon camera is massive. Probably one of the biggest lens choices on the market for a body, or for a branded body. So I always stick with it. It does what it says on the tin. It's really good. It's been bashed, it's been banged, it's been dropped, and it just keeps going. I take it in for regular service. I do the sensor cleaning myself. So, very reliable. Go on a shoot, especially doing a shoot of long exposures. Battery life is quite good. I can probably do an entire day's shoot, multiple locations on one battery. So that's not bad, really, considering when you're doing some long exposures of probably 3 or 4 minutes a go. So can't grumble at all. Very nice. My choice of lenses have kind of changed a little bit in this last year or so. Predominantly my images are all big vista landscapes. That's where my enjoyment comes from. I love doing big vistas. So to that end, I use the Canon 1635 f4. Very, very sharp. Corner to corner sharpness is far surpasses the 1635 f2.8 version, which one do I go for? The f2.8 I'd probably gone for more in terrestrial photography, but I'm not. So I went for the f4. Chose the sharpness over the aperture. Never look back. This lens stays on my camera probably a good 85-90% of the time. You know, again, doesn't let me down. Slight weather sealing on it, you know, around the lip. You know, it's even though the 60 isn't weatherproof or weather sealed, you know, I've been out in rain in it, you know, taking photographs in the rain. As long as when you've done, get done as quick as you can, and get back and get it dried out, you know, it does fine. So that's my main combination, you know, that's just my main landscape gear. Up and above that, I have a 24-105 f4. Predominantly this lens gets used if you just need that extra little bit of reach up and above the 35mm on my other lens, and also I use this all the time for panoramics, because I like to focus or zoom further into the field of view than what the 16-35 can do, so I get a little bit closer up onto the landscape to take the panoramic. Again, you know, a lot of people moaned and bitched about the 24-105 being dead soft. You know, I can get very, very sharp photographs with that. It doesn't let me down. You know, it's got both lenses have got IS. You know, so you've got like multiple stops to help you really. So that's my panoramic lens. Again, 300-400 quid, bargain of a lens. After that, this is where my lens choice kind of changed a little bit. I've started doing more and more street photography, and obviously with that you need to get a bit closer up, so you're a bit more discreet when you're photographing people who are going about their daily life. So I went for the beast. Canon 7200 f2.8. I went for the new Mark II. I used a colleague's when I went down to a trip down London, and I was very, very impressed with this. Very, very sharp throughout most of the apertures. IS is brilliant, and of course you've got multiple modes of IS, so if you're doing normal people on the streets, you know, you got both ways IS, or whether you're doing motorsports where you can use mode 2 IS, which only stabilises the image going one way, so when you're panning, you know, it's not fighting against you to stabilise the image. Again, very sharp, a lot less sharp when you start getting up to about f16ish, thereabouts. You know, it does start to lose its sharpness up then, but you know, predominantly I use this on wide open, you know, f2.8, catching people going about their daily lives. I won't hide the fact it's heavy, very, very heavy, and if you're like me that doesn't have a strap on your camera, you know, you do start feeling it in your hands and in your forearms when you're holding it up quite a lot. So you know, if you're willing to accept the weight, get it. You know, I use this as well sometimes, you know, when I'm out on the ground doing landscapes. You know, it always comes out on the ground with me, even when I'm doing a landscape shoot. You know, because having a good zoom lens when you're out on the ground gives you the ability to get to places that predominantly with these ain't gonna get to, and this gives me that facility. So on the odd occasion, yes, this comes out. You know, luckily it's 77mm, same as with the lenses, so you know, same adapter ring fits, so I can use my ND filters on it, you know, and really get up and close with the landscape. Does what it says on the tin. Very, very impressive piece of glass. Very impressive. That's my main camera gear. Next up is filters. I'm a Lee filters person. Always have been. The little side part of that is I did receive a set of filters from another manufacturer other than Lee to use, and the soft grad ND filters were on par. You know, they were quite good. You know, the only times that they weren't on par is in quite bright sunlight, where you get a magenta cast, a slight bit of magenta tinge in the bright areas of the clouds. But you know, it's near enough negligible. But I don't want to have that risk when I'm out on the ground of taking photographs of one thing that I've got to do when I get back and post-process, start removing magenta tinges. So I do stick with Lee. The other brands' full ND filters were absolutely horrendous. The magenta colour cast on them wasn't even funny. So suffice to say, they don't get used ever. You know, they never even come out on the ground with me. But the ND filters, I do take, you know, both brands out with me, just in case I lose one. You know, one gets badly scratched or something like that, then I've still got filters out there that I can use. So yeah, stick with Lee. You know, there's lots of other filters that Lee make, you know, like the hard grads, the mist filters, the medium hards, the mediums, different variants of soft grad in essence. You know, what they're like I don't know. You know, I don't use them. You know, I haven't got money to throw away, so unfortunately I can't do a proper review of Lee filters, of more of the Lee filters. But, you know, because I haven't got the money to go out and buy filters that, you know, I may or more than likely may not use. So, you know, unfortunately, due to Lee's prices, that's the way it is. But regards to Lee, standards, soft grads, standard hard grads, pay the money. You know, you will get a quality filter. You know, Lee's a well-reputed brand. You know, and they have never let me down, whereas other filter brands have. So I don't mind paying the money, and I can justify it because I know with soft grads especially, I know I'm going to use them all the time. Likewise with these full NDs, you know, the 0.3, 0.6 and 0.9, they don't let me down. I get no colour casts ever. I really can't fault them. You know, so this is my filter pouch. You know, I use the Low Pro filter pouch 100. In here I can store 10 filters, and there's also a bit of room inside for my Lee filter holder, Lee foundation, another Lee filter pouch, which I'll come on to in a moment, and then the stack filters. You know, in here is all my ND filters. There's my good old Lee's full NDs. Lee soft grads. You know, it's a good filter pouch. It costs about 25 quid from Amazon. There'll be a link to it in my blog down the bottom, along with most of the kit. There's all Amazon links down there for you to go away and have a look. So yeah, it's a great bit of kit. You know, it's got a good solid Velcro buckle. You know, so you can get it on your belt when you're out. You know, a real good investment. You know, really been happy with it. The other filters that I use are Lee Big Stopper. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite battered now, the tin is. But inside, you know, with it being a glass filter, you know, you do have to be careful with it. But you know, the tin looks after it well. You know, I've had this for a year or so now, so I've dropped and smashed my other one. You know, it's doing well. I have got a bit of a chip corner to it, you know. It has no effect on light because obviously it's outside of the light seal. So 10 stop filter, absolutely brilliant for doing real long exposures. You know, whether it be a big waterfall, you know, to get a really milky ethereal feel, or even doing long exposures in the daytime. You know, really good. And you also get, with a big stopper, find it in here, is the nice handy little chart, which when you are setting up your long exposure, I tend to set up in aperture mode, aperture priority. I'll get all my settings right. On a given aperture, I'll take a note of the shutter speed, and then I'll refer to this handy little chart from Lee, and it will convert it into what my shutter speed needs to be for long exposure. And now I can flick across into bulb mode, match my aperture, down, and basically press my go button and, you know, monitor the time it takes to take the image. Job done. You know, again, some people moan about colour casts with the big stopper. I've found it, if you slightly underexposed your image, then you do get a bit of a bluey colour cast really. But when I find that I correctly expose it higher with a good centered histogram, I don't get it, you know. So does what it's supposed to. Really good. Last filter I use out the ground is probably become my most valuable filter. Lee Landscape Polarizer. 105mm. I went for the landscape one rather than the standard circular polarizer, because the landscape one adds a slight bit of warmth to the image, which is nice when you're doing a landscape image. You know, it just removes that coldness. You know, unless if you want to, you know, if you do want that coldness, you know, you can just dial it back, you know, and just dial back the warmth or the polarization on it. Actually, this never comes off my camera now when I'm out doing a landscape shoot. Never. I love doing landscape shoots that have got nice blue skies, because with this I can turn them blue skies jet black, and when converted into a black and white image, it looks stunning, absolutely stunning. Really, really invaluable bit of kit. Yes, it's expensive for you to buy, but worth it. You know, it also acts as an ND filter as well, so you know, sometimes in situations where you don't actually need to put on an ND filter to take a photograph of a waterfall, you know, sometimes this, I think it's 2 stops, so it's just enough, you know, to give you that longer exposure to get a bit of milky water in a waterfall. Really, really good. Buy it, just get it bought. You know, I can't again, another bit of leaf filtering that I can't fault. Of course, also you use the leaf foundation holder, and with the circular polarizer, yes, you do have to buy the ring that goes on the front that you mount the polarizer onto. My advice with the ring is to use probably a little bit of olive oil when you first buy it and rub it round the thread on the ring, because what you might find is that sometimes you do tend to over tighten these and it can be a swine to get off. So a little bit of olive oil just around the thread, you know, it keeps it nice and smooth, and it does actually help you to screw it back on, especially if you're doing it one-handed. You know, because obviously with it being glass, you don't want to drop it. It's a lot of money to smash if you do drop. So, leaf foundation filter holder. Can't really say any more than that really. Trigger wise, I use Godox FC16 wireless trigger. The reason I use the FC16 is because I do work in the studio, and you can use these as well as a remote shutter release. You can obviously use them as a flash release as well. You know, so you can use. It's got multiple uses. You can slave flashes to them. You know, it just saves me by having multiple bits of kit. You know, if I've got one bit of kit that can do the lot, why not? You know, and both run on AAA batteries. You know, they last a good while. Very, very good. Got quite a good distance to it. You know, probably a good 10-15 meters away. You know, and wireless infrared can still pick up each other up. So yeah, it's quite good. The beauty of these as well is when I'm shooting in bulb mode, you know, all you got to do is hold the button down for 3 seconds, and then that's in essence doing the button lock, which you normally have on a cable release. So yeah, very, very good. When you buy these, they come as a Canon kit, so you get multiple wires with them for different models of Canon. You know, likewise when you're buying for the Nikons or the Sonys, whichever. So yeah, about 28 quid. Absolutely cracking bit of kit, really good. And last bit really is my little bits bag. You know, in here, you know, it's got spare batteries, cleaning cloths, cleaning fluid, SD cards. You know, all within a waterproof bag, which gets locked away obviously in my main camera bag. Just handy just to have all these bits with you. And of course, good old blower. You know, 4 quid, absolutely nothing. And when you're outside doing landscape images, when you're in a bit of a dustier environment, you know, these are a great tool. You know, just to keep the front of your filters clean. You know, I always give them a good blow off before I slide it out the holder. You know, just to make sure that any loose grit and dirt is all blown off. I must have a bit of kit. So that's my standard landscape photography gear really. What I'll do is in a minute I shall flick over to doing the video on my 60, and I'll go through my blogging gear and, you know, show you what we can do or what I use out on the ground when I'm doing my video blogs. So all that said and done, I'll say bye bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.